Brothers and sisters, I'm going to do something I have never done with you before. I'm going to take you on a drive. I want to show you something, and then we'll digress on what we've seen. How's that sound? All right then, I'll catch you on the flip side. This here is an old lodge in Edmonton, Alberta. It's essentially the tenants are gone. They've moved on and they've closed the lodge, and it's up for sale. Kind of sad, isn't it? Part of the history of this town, and the fact is, I guess you could say this is what happens when lodges don't evolve, right? I don't exactly know what happened with this one, like how, but it just seems to me another one of those examples of a disappearing fraternal organization.
Ladies and gentlemen, seekers of light and secret knowledge wherever you may be, you are listening to Points of Light Radio, the podcast dedicated to taking you past the apron and behind the closed doors of lodges everywhere. And here is your host, Stan Miller.
I hope you enjoyed our little car ride, brothers and sisters. Now I'm about to show you the other possibility, right? How this process can be reversed. Okay? I'm going to be interviewing a gentleman named David Castoe. He reached out to me earlier today. Okay? Isn't that wonderful? Maybe we are starting to get noticed here. Okay? I'm not constantly calling people and having them slam the phone down in Mayor. They're calling me now. And Mr. Castoe is a member of the Sterling Lodge, number 54 in Colorado. He's also a member of the Order of the Arrow, Washita Lodge, number 288, and Ramona Masonic Lodge, number 326. Right? He's here to talk about how he's revamped his lodge. This is refreshing, isn't it? Right? Okay, and like I said, I can't wait. You always hear me say this, but it's true. I can't wait to get started and hear about some of this fresh thinking and new ideas. But as I always ask you, are you still thirsty for knowledge? Are you still searching for the light? Then you just trim your lamp and follow me. Mr. Castoe, welcome to Points of Light Radio.
Hi.
Yes, no, I understand that you're a member of a number of lodges. First of all, Sterling Lodge number 54, as well as the Order of the Arrow Washita Lodge number 288 and the Ramona Masonic Lodge 326.
Yep.
So why don't you tell my listeners and viewers about yourself?
Yeah, I was really big into scouting as a kid. And the National Honor Society of Boy Scouts of America is the Order of the Arrow, and it was has three, we call them honors, but it's kind of like 3 degrees, basically, like if you were to compare it to Masonic degrees. And the honors in there, the first honor is called Ordeal, and then the next one is called Brotherhood. And then the next honor, the last honor, which is an honorary honor, you can't petition for it or anything. It's given to you by the Vigil Committee of the Lodge, and the honor is called the Vigil, and it's honorary. So I am a Vigil member of Washita Lodge number 288, out of Cherokee Area Council in Bartlesville, Oklahoma. And then I also am a member of Ramona Masonic Lodge number 326 in Ramona, Oklahoma, as well as Sterling Masonic Lodge number 54 in Sterling, Colorado, which is where I currently reside.
That's your current home lodge then?
Correct.
So you can belong to more than one lodge?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can. And it has different names depending on if you belong in different states or if you belong to multiple lodges within one state.
So tell us about the Sterling Lodge number 54. Tell us about that for now.
Yeah, so it's It actually was founded. It started before our county is called Logan County. It was actually started even before Logan County was even a county. So it's been around a long time. Number 54 is a pretty low number when it comes to Masonic lodges. Of course, as you get to Denver, Colorado, the numbers are pretty, low, like number 11, 7, number 5, stuff like that. But it is, so when I joined, I moved to Sterling, Colorado for my job. So when I moved here, I actually saw a guy pull up next to me at Walmart, and he had Masonic symbols on his truck. And I went over to his truck and said, "Hey, I'm a Mason as well, and like to get started in your guys' lodge." He took my information down, and the secretary here contacted me. So I showed up to a meeting, and there was 4 guys, and they were all about, I'm gonna say, 80 and above.
Wow.
And there is another young guy like myself. He's a little older than I am, but he's still pretty young. I'm guessing maybe he's in his mid-30s. I'm 29 years old, and so he's in there as well. And basically, those guys are basically just gonna open and close lodge twice a month until, I guess, enough of them passed away where they couldn't. You have to have at least 3 master masons to open lodge.
Okay.
And I guess if enough of them passed away, that they would just close the lodge down.
Oh, no, we can't have that.
Yeah.
And that is
So
one of the reasons you contacted me, because yeah, we got to raise the profile and preserve this history.
yeah,
Like you're saying.
and we are pretty rural out here. So if you're familiar with Denver, Colorado, we are 2 hours northeast of Denver, Colorado. So we're out on the high plains out here. So we are pretty rural. So
Well, I
we've
live in
actually,
Alberta.
oh,
Big and cold.
yeah, we and I used to live in Idaho when I went to college, and I visited Eagle Rock Lodge number 19 out there in Idaho Falls. And so I have visited some other Masonic lodges out there before, but this lodge was interesting to me because I'd never been to a lodge where it was basically just kind of dying. And I think it's not uncommon to have that. So when I joined up, me and the other younger guy, his name's Andrew. So me and Andrew got together and basically said, "Hey, we have to spend this year just campaigning. We're not, as Masons, we're not allowed to ask people to join the lodge.
Oh well, they do.
Yeah,
They do.
but we say things like, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a Mason before?" We're not asking them to join, but we're just trying to start the conversation. So actually, last night we just initiated 3 new guys into our lodge.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, and we got one guy who turned a petition in, so we're gonna get him going initiated probably in January.
Good.
Maybe before that, but probably in January. And so anyway, and they're all young guys. And basically, I just when I joined up, I said, "Hey, we need to have a start doing stuff. These, people want to do stuff, guy. It's not very appealing when you're like, yeah, come to lodge, and there's no dinner, and it's just a business meeting with not a lot of camaraderie." And so we did kind of a community dinner.
Good.
And invited some guys, and we had some guys fill out petitions and join. And yeah, we're really starting to grow. So we're even putting our old float right now. We are revamping a old Masonic float. We're going to put it in a parade here locally.
Mm-hmm. Everything.
And
if people don't know you're there, they're not going to go. You have to.
Yeah,
I love this.
Yeah, so we're really pushing hard. So we're doing that, and then we've got some community events that happen downtown, and the whole town comes down to visit the different booths and stuff like that. So we're actually trying to also plan to have a booth at these events where I don't know if we're doing brats and hamburgers or whatever, and we're gonna be wearing, if we're Shriners, we're gonna have our fez caps on. If you know, we're gonna have aprons on. We're gonna, really be trying to show, hey, we're here, and you should join our lodge. And we're really starting to come with some good ideas on how we can benefit our community and some local organizations, some local charities, as well as grow our lodge and have some good brotherhood
Do
here
you
in
have a
Sterling,
Facebook
Colorado.
page? Do you have a Facebook page?
So we do have a Facebook page,
Good.
but it has not been I don't know, well taken care of, I guess you might say.
That sounds typical.
Yeah. So that's another thing that we are trying to figure out and get a hold of the passwords and stuff like that, so we can start administrating it
Revamping.
correctly. Yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. And then I'm using it in everyday conversation. I work in agriculture out here. I work selling feed commodities to cattle feed yards. So I'm always on the phone with guys, and it's always, when I can, it's in my conversation, because these guys are also local guys as well. And they should be a member of the Sterling Masonic Lodge number 54.
How open were the older gentlemen to your ideas?
They're pretty open.
Good.
So something that I feel that's difficult with this lodge is, all of the older gentlemen in this lodge are also active members of the Elks Lodge here in Sterling.
Good.
Which is good. Yeah, I'm a fraternal junky, and so I love fraternities and stuff like that, and
Music to my
fraternal
ears.
groups. Yeah, and so one of the things that we've kind of seen that's hard is that when the same guys, and all the older gentlemen, of course, have been worshipful masters in our Masonic Lodge. Well, they've also been exalted rulers, which is the worshipful master of an Elks Lodge.
Yes.
And so what's happened is, because the Elks Lodge is actually bigger and it's more of a social club, and they're doing more things and they've got more help over there. What's happened is the social events, gatherings, things of that nature, they've put in more effort, it seems like, over at the Elks Lodge than they have at the Masonic Lodge. And so honestly, I think it's cannibalized us a little bit, where the same guys that are active over here are doing all the work in this or organization, and then over here, just not a lot's happening. They're opening and closing lodge, but beyond that, not a lot is happening. And me and Andrew, we've both have said, hey, for our area, right? If our Blue Lodge crumbles, well, that's where you get your members for York Rite and Scottish Rite,
Yeah.
And Shriners and stuff like that. So if it crumbles, these other organizations crumble too. So we really need to focus on our Blue Lodge first, and then we can start focusing on maybe growing our Royal Ark chapter, or our Cryptic Council, or our Commandery for Knights Templar, stuff like that.
Do you have those in your lodge?
We do. So
Okay.
in our current lodge, we do have a Royal Ark chapter, and we do have a Cryptic Council. For Commandery for Knights Templar, I think they have to drive about 40 minutes down the road to a different lodge. I think that's where they meet, and I think that's Oasis Lodge in Fort Morgan, Colorado.
Are
But
you a Royal Arch member?
I am not. So I'm going to be joining. They only initiate once a year here. So I am going to be joining this June when they put on the chapter degrees.
We'll have to have you back and talk about that.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And if you want to talk about Order of the Arrow another time, we can do that too.
Absolutely.
That's a great fraternal group as well.
So, but you do keep your membership though in the Ramona Masonic Lodge. Now,
Yep.
Where was that again?
That's Ramona, Oklahoma.
So
That is about,
what are they like?
Great. So my grandpa is the one who got me involved. He was a member. He was actually an Odd Fellow. He was part of the Odd Fellows Lodge, and then in 1985, he actually quit going to the Odd Fellows Lodge and joined the Masonic Lodge. His wife, though, was still a Rebecca until the day she died. But he joined the Masonic Lodge, and he was actually worshipful master of a couple of different lodges during his time when he's passed away now. But he's the one who got me into Masonry and raised me as a master Mason in the Ramona Masonic Lodge.
So how long have you been?
I've been a Mason for 10 years.
Okay, good.
But a lot of those years I was in college, so I wasn't
Of
very
course.
active. So yeah, because I joined right out of high school actually. So I was 19 when I joined, and then 29 now.
Okay, so I also understand you are, when you talk about the Oddfellows, trying to bring an Oddfellows Lodge to your area. Did it used to have one or something?
We did. We had an Oddfellows Lodge here in Sterling, and it was pretty. It seems like from reading old newspapers and talking to the Grand Lodge of Colorado for Oddfellows, seems like it was pretty active.
Oh, yeah.
So what I tried to do is we have a community Facebook page. I went on there and tried to say, hey, we should start an Oddfellows Lodge here in Sterling. It has, men and women can be a part of it, and even 16-year-olds and up, right? So it's a great family organization. I had several people who were interested in doing it, but just not enough to actually get another charter going here. So we had people who are interested in starting one, but just not enough who are willing to sign the bottom line and to get a charter going here, because it is a lot of commitment, to start an organization and keep it going, and in learning the ritual work and stuff like that. So, that's the difficult part of starting something like that. I have visited an Oddfellows Lodge over in the closest one to me is an hour and a half away. It is in Fort Lupton, Colorado, and I did visit them, but they currently the current members of their lodge haven't even went through all the degrees. They haven't even performed any of the degrees or anything. So it's kind of dying off too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what drew you to the Freemasons?
Well, I've always kind of been interested in Freemasonry. And I'm actually a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And some of our early members of kind of like, I guess, our founding members of our church were also Freemasons.
Yes,
So
they
between
were.
that, yeah. So between that
Brigham
and
Young, Joseph Smith, yeah.
yeah. So and I'm proud to be a member of our church, and it's near and dear to my heart. And I we in our church we hold different callings and stuff like that. So I enjoy that as well. But between that, then I also knew my great grandfather was a Mason, and my grandpa was a Mason, and I had a cousin who was a Mason. So, and a lot of the guys in Order of the Arrow, some of the older guys in Order of the Arrow, they were also Masons as well. So I just was kind of surrounded by fraternalism growing up, I guess you'd say, and then the guys, my best friends growing up were Catholic, and they were all fourth degree Knights of Columbus. So it just kind of, we all kind of were in fraternal groups, and it's just something that was just kind of in our lives, and we just, I just kind of, it's kind of my hobby, I guess, as well. Fraternal groups.
That's wonderful. And,
Yeah.
And you know what do you feel it's done for you though? And what could it do for those thinking of looking at Freemasonry or any fraternal organization for that matter?
Yeah. It really, for me, it's been a part of my life for so long. I don't remember what it's like without having. I joined Order of the Arrow at age 14. So I just don't quite remember what it's like not to kind of have a brotherhood around me. I think what it's done for me is, number one, it allows you to serve if you're joining as a young person, like Order of the Arrow or DMLA, or even like Job's Daughters or Rainbow Girls, something like that. It allows you opportunities as a young person to learn about leadership and to really start growing yourself intellectually, and starting to learn some of those skills that other kids honestly aren't going to learn for probably a long time. If you're joining as an adult, you're it really gives you a sense of belonging and brotherhood, and really finding your place. I'm sure, like everyone's gonna say, every lodge has its own culture to it.
Sure it does.
My lodge over in Ramona, Oklahoma, the culture there was a good old boy, country boy, Oklahoma.
Why am I not
We were
surprised?
wearing overalls and nice, blue jeans and button ups to lodge. When I went into the Eagle Rock Lodge number 19 in Idaho Falls, there was guys in that lodge wearing tuxedos.
Yeah. Oh
So,
yeah.
it really differs on where your lodge. This lodge here is kind of maybe a nice pair of blue jeans or slacks with a nice blazer. But they don't require you, unless you're sitting in a chair, they require you to, hey, please wear a suit, like a sports jacket or something. But other than that, so every lodge kind of has its own thing, its own culture. But in my opinion, being a part of a fraternal group, if it's Moose or Elks, Masons or Oddfellows, whatever it is, it should be something you look forward to, and it should be something that means something to you. When we initiated these 3 guys last night, and I was, helping, I was actually the senior steward for the degree. One of the things that I really got from re-listening to the ritual was the fact that it's all about being a better person. It's all about dedicating yourself to whoever your supreme being is, and being that good person, and dedicating yourself to that, and then dedicating yourself to your family and to the organization. And this organization, the Masonic Lodge, is about being a better person and serving your community, and doing good and having high morals. And that's what we teach in our rituals, is being, there's that famous phrase, by taking a good man and making him better. That's truly what our rituals do, is they make men better. And
you meet on that level. I'm not in the
yeah,
myself, but I mean, I'm not. You meet on that level. I've often said this: the lodges I belong to, it's amazing how you go in there and you have people who are in law enforcement, people who are in manufacturing, retirees, farmers, you name it. You walk in there, but when you walk in there, all that melts away, and you are members of that lodge. I've always
it's
found
true.
it so amazing that you leave all of that behind, and
Yeah.
that you were just members for that time, that hour or two that you're there. You're members of that lodge. It on that same level. I love that.
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of the same. That's something that I've always really loved about the organizations, and everyone says it, but it's true. And that is, anywhere you go, you have some brothers. And even maybe if you're not a member of that lodge, or maybe even not a member of that organization, but if you know about it, you've got respect for it. You've got people who will take care of you and who will help you.
Like you said, you got out of your vehicle
Yeah.
in a parking lot. You said, "Hey, I'm in the craft myself."
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you were in the lodge. You were welcomed. This was something you had in common.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
Yeah. And I think the great part, I mean, the hard part is, I'm a father, and I'm a father of 2 daughters, and a husband, and I got a career, and I have a calling in my church, and I've got other things that I participate in. But, there's not a lot of time extra to go and do other things. But, I kind of have dedicated myself, right? When you take your obligation in Freemasonry, right, you dedicate yourself to the organization as a whole, not just a certain lodge. And that's why me and Andrew kind of sat down. We decided to meet up at lodge, and we are practicing some of our opening ritual. And we decided to kind of just sit there and say, hey, we're the only two young guys in here. The other guys, they have every right to be burnt out, right? They're 80 something years old. They have every right to be saying, hey, I'm done trying to make it work. And I told Andrew, it's our turn. We have to step up, and we have to make either this Masonic Lodge what it needs to be, or we just need to close the doors, honestly. And maybe we need to join the lodge down the road or something. But if we want to keep this lodge open, we need to do stuff. And that's kind of why we're dedicating, and we're trying to revamp this parade float. And we're out there talking to guys and having dinners and really trying to push the message of Freemasonry to the community here in rural Colorado.
So, Mr. Castoe, all the best to you. I commend you and wish you all the best, and your lodge and your efforts there. I wish you all the best with that.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That was David Castoe, brothers and sisters, talking about the revamping of his lodge and his passion for fraternalism. Some things I gleaned. Wow, where do I start? First of all, his grandfather got him into it. Freemasonry ran in his family. His grandfather not only got him into Freemasonry, he was there. He helped raise him to the Master Mason degree. That's beautiful. It really is, right? I love the fact that Mr. Castoe is a fraternal junkie. Music to my ears, like I said. I love it, and like I keep saying, I love his passion. All right, and another reason, why do people get involved in a fraternalism? First of all, like I said, it was in his family, but also, how this helped him for, I don't know how many times I've heard this recently. He moved to a new community, and his lodge helped him integrate into it. I love that, right? And I love the fact that we have a younger person wanting to involve themselves in fraternalism. I mean, I keep saying to this, is the tide changing? You've saw some when it came to my segments on the Orange Lodge, both in Saskatchewan and Manitoba, how they seem to be coming back, right? Could we be seeing some sort of a societal change here where people are somehow finding their way back into fraternalism? And as you've seen here, and you've heard me say this in other segments of Points of Light Radio, if there was ever a time when younger people could have, today a younger person could get involved in fraternalism, doesn't matter what lodge or which branch of fraternalism they got into, they could join and have so much influence within their lodge, like this gentleman does. He has so much influence in his lodge, and that's wonderful. You've heard me say that before here. Like I said, it's wonderful to see it happening, right? Getting involved, revamping the lodge. And I love how the older gentleman just let him get on with his work, just brought him in and let him get on with the work. I love that, right? Right. And I can keep saying, I don't think fraternalism isn't dead. Lodges can be rechartered. They can be revamped. That is possible. I mean, we have to keep this in mind, but we also need, as I keep saying, we need to preserve the history and raise the awareness of fraternalism, right? I think we made a friend here. I love this guy. I really do. We'll definitely be having him back here on Points of Light Radio. Unfortunately, that is all the time I have for today here, folks. It's actually quite late here. This interview happened quite late. But before I go, I want to remind you that this podcast is available on both YouTube and Spreaker. Please share, like, and subscribe when viewing Points of Light Radio on YouTube. You can follow Points of Light Radio on my Facebook page at facebook.com/Points of Light Radio. My Twitter handle is at PO Light Radio. You can see the link to my Spotify channel as well as my Points of Light Radio store. Brothers and sisters, it's been a pleasure bringing you this segment. I look forward to fellowshipping with you and my guests again. Until we meet again, though, you just step into the light.